Yeah, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune, because it's time for another edition of the Rec Poker Podcast. And I'm not the only one, because I can see some other heads in the chat booth here bobbing along and rocking and having a good time. I'm looking at you, Rob Washam. So thanks, everyone, for joining us here on the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Reid, Bluffsterini in the home games. And if you want to find out more about me and the rest of the wrecking crew here at Rec Poker, you can go to rec.poker/crew, because it is a village that it takes to run what we do over here. It takes a wrecking crew. It takes premium members. It takes sponsors. The sponsors that we adore are our fans, Mark Prashant at Website Amp, and everyone over at the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. And we got a new premium member this week, Joel Barton. I haven't had a chance to meet Joel yet, but Joel, thank you for pledging that $15 a month. That premium membership helps us out a lot. It lets us do what we do over here. We couldn't do it without your support. I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know everyone here at Rec Poker. The real movers and shakers, as I mentioned at the top, are the members of the Wrecking Crew. And like I said, you can go to rec.poker/crew to find out more about them, or you can just listen up because you'll meet a few of them right here tonight.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the Poker Stars home game.
And I'm John Somsky. I'm Poker Geek MN everywhere.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 just about everywhere.
Well, we're going to be joined in just a moment by Alan Kessler. I'm super excited to be talking to the Chainsaw about all things to do with live poker and what's going on in the poker world these days. I just want to mention that if you're a regular listener, you know that we do a draw at the end of the show for a prize. You'll have a chance to win a prize. I'll get into what the prize is later, but you're going to do it by entering the words food bank into the chat near the end of the episode. And Joe Coolis, who is a premium member who was watching live last week, offered to match if anyone wants to make a donation to a food bank in their area. He'll match that donation up to $100. So we'll get into more details of that later, but just a shout out to Joe Cool for being such a great member and a generally good guy. Speaking of generally good guys, I might even have to bump that up a notch. So, Alan Kessler, first of all, just thank you so much for coming and joining us here on the Rec Poker Podcast.
No problem. I'm here in Razvedov for the World Series Europe. I got here a couple days ago.
Yeah, I've been following you on Twitter for a long time. You're great at doing updates when you're playing live, and you do play live quite a bit. How long have you been over in the wonderful Czech Republic?
I got here 2 days ago. I was pretty much exhausted from the travel, and they had the wrong time posted on the website. So,
oh no!
I thought I already missed the event, but the event actually didn't start until 6 p.m. So I actually couldn't play it, but I got completely mixed up. So I missed the first event. I played the second event, PLO. I cashed in that, and today was the third event, the mini main, and I lasted 12 levels, which is a pretty long time.
Yep.
I flopped the nut flush draw against the set and got busted on that.
Yeah, I don't think that could go any other way. I saw your tweets. You had the ace jack of hearts, right? And he had a set of nines on the flop, and the flop was 9 high with 2 hearts. I think those chips were getting in there, but
kept around on the flop, and the turn was like an offsuit 10, and nobody looked interested in the pot, so I bet the turn, and the guy with the 3 nines just flatted. And the river was a jack.
So
that was like the only card that I can go broke on. It's a jack.
Yep.
Because if a comes, I win. If an ace comes, I guess I go broke also. But
sure.
But the jack was actually like the worst possible card. So anyway, I checked. The pot had about what my amount of chips in it, so he bet the pot, and I called.
Yep. I love talking to professional veteran players when they've busted out of a tournament as recently as you have here, because there's a very approachable sense of, it's not even frustration. It's just like, ugh, oh, well, that's poker, right? Let's start with that. You've played a lot of poker, Alan. How do you respond to moments like this when it just it's the way it had to go, it seems?
No, these things happen. I mean, I got lucky yesterday. I had ace, 10, king, king in PLO against the other guy who had aces. And the flop came a 10 on the flop and a 10 on the turn. So, I mean, it does go both ways. But
Yep.
so I cracked aces with kings yesterday. So, I mean, it's just, if you play enough of these things, like that particular hand, having the ace jack against a set of nines, the way it played out, there's no matter how it plays out, if I bet the flop on the flop and he calls or however it plays out, I'm going to go broke. So
Yep.
that hand was just predetermined. So a lot of those things are just happen like that.
And is that just a question of having put in the hours and seeing it happen so many times that you kind of just become numb to the emotional highs and lows of that? Or have you had some strategies over your playing career that have helped you get better at sort of dealing with those circumstances?
I mean, I've seen that particular, scenario quite a bit, but I mean, you just have to get used to that. I mean, I play hundreds of tournaments in a year. So those particular kind of hands where it's like, the money's going to get in no matter what. You just have to know that if, you're going to be on the right side of that so many times and on the wrong side of that so many times. But I've been on the wrong side of that quite a bit. Like when I flop the set and they have the flush draw, I've lost countless times like that in the last year.
Sure. Well, I could talk your ear off. I'll tell our YouTube viewers if they'd have any questions for Alan, feel free to type them into the chat there. I see Dark Angel's getting a head start on that. And of course, the other members of the Wrecking Crew here, feel free to just unmute and we'll call on you. So Alan, so let's talk about that a little bit. You just mentioned like you play hundreds of tournaments a year. I think our listeners probably know you as a live pro tournament player. How would you describe yourself if someone asked sort of what was your role in the poker industry these days?
Well, I travel. I travel a lot and I play a lot, but the I will support events that I like a $400 event at the Orleans mixed event with like a $3,000 or $4,000 first place is not going to change my life in any way, but I will still support it because I like the fact they run those events. So I played a whole series of those events like a few weeks ago. They had like 600s, 400s, Omaha, Rose, Horse, whatever they had, I played because I like to support those type of events. Even though the money is not the thing, it's just the challenge of playing and being able to have a nice time and seeing all my friends there, that kind of thing. So it's not just playing to win the money. For me, I already have enough money. I play what I want to play. Like I wanted to come to Europe. It's expensive to come here, and it's a major commitment to come to Europe and play all these events. But I wanted to come. I wanted to run, try for a bracelet. I came in second here one year in a bracelet. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I came here.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you're living the life then. I mean, that's the dream for a lot of our listeners.
Also,
to travel around the world playing poker.
I'm considered like an expert, quote unquote, on structures and how things should be run. And some tournament people respect my opinion. Other ones will just block me and not even talk to me. So certain venues, if I go there and I suggest something, like Thunder Valley, I'll give you as an example. If I talk to Ben Irwin there and I say, look, you should have more mixed games. And he says, well, tell me what 4 mixed games you want. And I tell him the 4, and we just had a series there, and he ran the exact 4 games that I wanted, and they were very successful. Or like South Point, for example, they were running a series this past summer, and they posted a structure, and I said, I put on my Twitter, I said, this is a ridiculous structure. No one's going to come here and play that. So then they challenged me. They say, well, we need a structure that has a lot of play that will take exactly 13 hours. So I wrote it up. And they ran it. It ran 13 hours and was very successful. So, a lot of places will just scoff at whatever I say, but there's other places that actually listen to me. Like even Jack Effel. If you Google Jack Effel and my name, you'll see that there was one year that they modified the structures for the mixed games midway through the series based on my suggestion, which is like unheard of.
Yeah, midway through the series. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Yes, because so many people were complaining and like they reached out to everybody. They said, well, what can we do to fix it? And I printed out something, a way to fix it. And whatever I printed, I forget exactly what I suggested. but they went with it like verbatim, basically. So, after playing for 20 years or so, you get to figure out like what's good and what's bad. Like in general, skipping levels is bad. Short levels is bad. Things like that. And there's some places that do short levels and skip levels, which is really, really bad. So anybody that does that, I rip them. So
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, and Al, I just kind of wanted to expand on that. For our listeners who are familiar with you, I think they know that you're kind of an advocate for structures, and if our listeners are first time have kind of hearing from you, maybe they're not as familiar. And I'm curious what your advice would be for maybe a recreational player who's never thought about, I just show up and play poker, and has never really thought about looking at a structure sheet and what's good and what's bad and what should I be looking for as a player when I'm entering into a field. You mentioned a few things there, but I'm curious, what would be your advice to sort of a recreational player who's just starting to maybe think about what should I even be looking for in these things?
Well, the main things you want to look for are the stack size of chips that you get, how long the levels are, and the main important thing is if they skip any levels. So what I mean by skip levels is, let's say you're playing 2 and 400, and there's a common thing lately where places go from 2 and 400 to 3 and 600, right? Because they don't have the chips for 250, 500. That's their explanation. But you can actually play 300, 500, or 200, whatever it is. You can fit the other level in. But by not having that extra level in there, the 200, 400, 3-6, and then 4-8, what that means is in 30 minutes, the structure is completely double, which is unacceptable. I mean, so think of it this way. You've played 2 and 400. The level ends. Now you play 30 minutes of 3 and 600. And in 30 minutes, you've just gone from playing 2 and 400 to 4 and 800. So if ever the structure doubles in one level, there's something wrong. That's like one of the key things you should always look for. And I find this all the time. Places like to skip the 3,500 level or the 2,500, 5,000 level are the key ones they like to skip. But there's other ones they skip. Like you just have to look through it and see if anything's skipped. But also you need to get a reasonable amount of chips to start with. In mixed events, I have a thing called the 10-bet wall. That means at what point do you have 10 times your bet? So let's say you get 25,000 chips. That would be the level that you're playing 1,200, 2,400. So in general, that should be several hours into the event. If it's less than like 3 or 4 hours into the event, then it's probably a very fast mixed structure, and you're probably not going to have much play because mixed structures, you have to have at least 10 bets to maintain the structure. So
yeah, I think a lot of recreational players don't appreciate the difference that a good structure can make to a tournament. And is it just as yeah, please. Yeah.
No, the good structure is going to give you more chance to to have a bad beat or to make a play, to make a check raise. But I mean, once the stack gets so shallow, it becomes what they call a shove fest, and then there's really no play. Like people will either go all in or they'll fold, and that's not really poker. That's just making all in or fold decisions. And like I criticize the WPT because they go to a 30-minute structure at their final tables playing for millions of dollars, and I've seen the limits in WPT final tables get to like 12 big bets per person, which you're playing for a prestigious title or something like that. It should never, like, there's no reason to press that to a 30-minute structure at that point. Like, let the people play. They've played for 4 or 5 days to get to that point. Why all of a sudden do you make it 30 minutes? Things like that are what bothers me.
Yeah, and for the listeners that are a little less experienced with those kind of tables, it just means that if you've got a deeper stack and a slower structure, you just have more opportunities to play poker. You've got more chips behind. You don't have to just.
You can raise on the turn. You're not committing your whole stack on any street. You have chips, available chips for all streets. It's just I think once people play, a reasonable amount of tournaments, they can tell right off the bat. Like, I know, are you guys from the Minnesota area?
Many of us are, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like the tournaments there, like the ones I played at, like Running Aces or MSPT at the Canterbury. Those are
Yep.
very good structures. You get like, I don't know, 25 or 30,000 chips, and they play all the levels. There's no skips. And if you look back, when I used to go to a lot of those events, like 2014 or 15, I was the MSPTs were then called chainsaw approved with quotes around
Yeah,
them.
I remember. Yeah.
I actually wrote their structures, and their numbers went from like being just an also ran mid stakes tournament series to the number one series in like 2 or 3 years. They went because they used this chainsaw approved thing, and people actually said, "Wow, this is phenomenal!" And it still finished whenever they wanted to finish. Like they wanted to finish, I think, in 2 days, and uh, it was terrific. I like the Running Aces. That I played there quite a few times. Canterbury Park, I only played a couple times. It was a little bit harder to get to. But I think all of you probably have played those MSPTs, and you can agree that those are great structured tournaments.
Yeah, John Somsky, you've got some experience in playing in those, don't you?
Yeah, there are great tournaments around here. The question I had, so you've been in the industry a while, and I've been accused of playing poker longer than some of our listeners have been alive. I was wondering if you could share how you got your nickname, Chainsaw.
Oh, if you look back, there was this radio show called Poker Road Radio. Probably none of you have heard of it. It was Gavin Smith was a commentator. He passed away since then.
Yep.
Ali Najad and Barry Greenstein's son, Joe Seabach. It was what they did was they had like a radio studio, and they would travel around to major tournament venues, and they would do this radio show. It was very popular, actually. It's called Poker Road Radio. That's where Ali Najad basically got his start doing broadcasting. And he was already doing like some of the commentary at that point. But anyway, I was doing very well in that particular tournament at the Foxwoods, and I made the final table. And Gavin, I was really good friends with Gavin. He used to always make fun of my style, like saying I was so tight and Anyway, this chainsaw thing was like a joke, like the opposite. Like a chainsaw cuts through the players like it cuts through the. So they were calling me a chainsaw, and then Ali Najad found the sound effect of a chainsaw. They basically started saying, "And here's another chainsaw update," and it was like it kind of stuck after that. It started in 2007, 15 years.
Oh, that's great. It remains one of the great poker nicknames. I think people know who you are when they hear it.
Yeah, now there's a thing called the Chainsaw Corner on the Daniel Negreanu vlog, and literally in Europe, like nobody even knows who I am, but people come up to me 3-4 times a day and they say, "Aren't you the guy from the Negreanu vlog, the Chainsaw Corner?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." They want to do a selfie, like crazy.
Well, you're famous in the poker world, Alan. So it was only a matter of time, right?
Yeah, because that Negreanu vlog, I think, has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So you're just bound to run into people that have seen you on that eventually.
Good point. Speaking of which, I think Chris has a question from our YouTube chat.
Yeah, actually, so Dark Angel is asking a couple questions on YouTube about your experience in the WSOP Europe, and speaking of DNEGs, is wondering who do you think is going to run deeper, you, Phil Hellmuth, or Daniel Negreanu? As she's heard they're going over to play it in Kings.
In the main event, or in which event?
Yeah, I guess in the main event.
Well, if you take those three, it rates to be Helmut, because Helmut has just a phenomenal record in these big events.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would probably pick Helmut.
And
but,
then
I came back from a break today, and guess who was sitting at my table? Sean
Negreanu. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was playing the mini main. He didn't last too long. He was playing very aggressively, but he came in at like I think 2,500 big blind with 40 blinds, and I think he rebought.
And then the other question is, what do you think of the structure at the WSOP Europe and the games? What do you think?
Today we had a phenomenal structure. We got 100,000 chips with 40-minute levels and no skips. Literally played every level. We started a little bit high. We started at 300 big blind, but we played every single level: 300, 400, 500, 600, 800, 1,000. No skips. So every 2 hours, basically, you're playing 3 levels, and then you have a break. It couldn't have been any better for that. It's basically like a $1,000 buy-in, a slightly bigger buy-in, but you'd never see this anywhere with 100,000 chips, 40-minute levels. I mean, to me, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, in fact, I was a little skeptical about just how big a difference good structures can make. But I played in the main event this year. I'm just going to mention it on every podcast I'm ever on because it's a bucket list item for me. And I was just blown away at the different mentality that you can take when you have so long to play, when you are deep stacked, when you can turn down kind of marginal spots and that kind of thing. When you talk about like not skipping any of the levels, or they play all the levels, is that for less experienced players, where would they go to find out like what all the levels are? Like how do you know when someone's skipping a level and when they're not? Well, what's the Bible for that?
Basically, if you just start at the number 200, for example, 1 and 200, right? After that, there's every level. So you would say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously, there's no 700 level. Then you have 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, etc. So, I mean, once you get past that point, it's pretty straightforward. It would be like 2,000, say 2,400, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000. There's no sevens.
Sevens because they're hard to have.
You never would see like a 350, 700 level or whatever.
Right. Now,
3, 6, 4, 8, 10.
Now, would you be in favor of us introducing a 350, 700 level? Because it feels like why not just more levels are better? Like why not have even more levels?
Not necessary, because the way the chips are formatted, the chip stacks and everything.
Right.
The standard levels that everybody's used to are going to make it work out. So there's no reason. Like what I did suggest to Jack this past summer, which worked, is the structures were a little bit too fast, and he had made the double levels earlier in the mixed game. So like you'd be playing 1 and 200 twice, and then 2 and 400 twice. So, but the problem with that is that you had so many chips, like 25,000 chips in these mixed games, that by the time you got to like 500, 1,000, nobody lost any chips because you played all these levels twice that didn't mean anything. So my suggestion to him was, which he did that this year, start the double levels around 4,800 or 500, 1,000, and then you're playing twice as long on important levels and less time on the earlier levels. So that was a huge success this summer. Everybody liked it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it really is. It sounds like you guys have kind of cracked the code on what levels make the most sense, what chip stack makes the most sense, the amount of time it makes the most sense for each level to run, that kind of thing.
You can basically figure it out because you can figure out where like at the end, how many, like say there's 9 people left, right? The average person is going to have around 20 or 30 blinds. So you can figure out how many chips are going to be at the final table and what level that's going to be. And now it's just a math thing of how long do you want it to take to get to the final table. So you can back. That's how I did the South Point one. They wanted to end at a certain 13 hours or whatever. So I said, well, how many chips are you starting with? So then you can figure out, well, how many chips are at the final table? How many blinds how many big bets is that? And then you work your way backwards from that.
Right. I enjoy that peek behind the curtain into sort of the science of the levels. I think that's something that, a bunch of us recreational players, we get together for a $10 game at our buddy's place, and it's just 100, 200, and you double the blinds every 10 minutes, and obviously there's more of an art to that. So that's interesting to kind of hear some of the math broken out for that. So, Alan, you're known really well for your opinions on levels and structures. and how to sort of level the playing field, as it were. You also have a reputation for being kind of a thrifty person in the poker world. One of the questions in the chat here from Donna says, "Hi, Alan. How's the food over there? And have you gotten anything comped yet?"
Well, if you're playing in these bigger events, they give you a card, and the card opens the door. It's like you know how you go in the subway and there's like a thing that's in the subway,
like a turnstile kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Anyway, it opens that, and you walk in, and there's a buffet. I've been kind of lax on that, but tomorrow I'm going to start posting pictures of all the different food offerings here because it's actually amazing. They have their own pizza bakery. They have their own dessert like area. They have various entrees like chicken, a lot of pork, which I don't eat, rice, potatoes, breads, all kind of different breads, fruit. They have a self-serve soda bar. They have it's just amazing here. So basically, I don't need to be comped anything because you basically can just walk in this thing and just find, even me, who's really, really picky. Like today, I had some breaded chicken. I had some. They had boiled potatoes, really nice. I had a couple slices of plain cheese pizza. Had soda, obviously. Some beautiful desserts. Really nice.
No, so it sounds like they're taking care of you over there. And do they have a rule against like putting stuff in your pockets and walking out with it so you've got it for later, for tomorrow, or is that allowed? I don't know. I don't know what's like over there.
No need to do that because you basically have this card that lets you in and out of the room at any time. So
you can go back in there as often as you want. Boy, they are treating you like VIPs. We don't get that kind of action over here.
I'm not saying that everybody gets that because I'm not sure what events you have to be into. But I know that ever since I've been coming here like 5 years, I've always been able to walk in and out of there with no issue. So, but I'm not going to do that for anyone else. So.
I see some other comments in the chat here about.
You see on my Twitter, lately I've been getting these amazing food offers in Vegas, and I randomly invite people to like $300, $200, $400 dinners at like just random restaurants. Like the other night, I took people to this place at the Green Valley Ranch Italian place. It was unbelievable. That was like a $300 thing with if you can find on my Twitter, we ordered this chocolate shoe for dessert, and the shoe inside the shoe had cake, Reese's peanut butter cake inside. $20 for this dessert. But I mean, I do this all the time. Like I sometimes 2-3 times a month. If I'm in Vegas, it might be more. So like the other day, I went to the M Resort to the steakhouse. I took like 4 people. So keep your eyes open for that because I offer these quite a bit. It's first come, first serve.
There you go. I love it. I've seen it too, folks. He's not making it up. And I'm frugal as well by nature. Right. I like to pinch pennies in the places that don't matter, so I can be generous and spend money in the places that I care about. Right. Which it sounds like you're similarly wired.
I do spend a lot of money gambling, and when you gamble a lot, they give you a lot of free stuff. So
good point. Well, I know some of our listeners are thinking about heading down to Las Vegas for the World Series next summer. It might be their first time coming down. You're obviously very experienced in Las Vegas and in this kind of mindset that we're describing here. Do you have any tips for folks that might be coming down for their first time on how they can come down to Las Vegas on a shoestring? And if they go home broke, it's because of what happened on the felt and not what happened off the felt?
I would say my number one tip is you want to be off the strip. You want to go to places like South Point or the Orleans and play poker in those places because it's lower buy-in tournaments. The play quality is much, like if you go to the Venetian or the Wynn, you're going to see the same group there all the time. Like I have very, very poor results there because you're playing with people that play there every day in these tournaments. And they're bigger buy-in tournaments, and it's the same group over and they're all on their headphones. None of them are interacting with people or anything. It's like a business. But if you want to have fun and you want to get a good value, go to off the strip to places like South Point or the Orleans, and they have tournaments almost every day. That's my number one suggestion.
Yeah, I see Rob Washam nodding his head back there. The one time that Rob and I got to meet up in Las Vegas, it was down at the Orleans, and I know that's one of his haunts. So just kind of go to the places less traveled. Is that it, Alan?
Right. But the problem with the strip is that the if you're going to gamble in those casinos, the hold on all the games is very, very, on the slots is very, very tough. The all the rules on the strip, like just in general, in any blackjack game, like they'll have 6-5 blackjack instead of 3-2, all kind of whatever it is to like squeeze close. So you want to play off the strip and get a better value, like any station casino, any Orleans, South Point, those types, M Resort. I really like those kind of casinos.
Great. And what about some hotels or restaurants that folks might want to give a try to save a few pennies and still have a great time?
If you see on my Twitter, about a week ago, I posted a menu from this. It's called the Marinelli's Pasta Bar. It's a gourmet Italian restaurant at the M Resort, and the average entree is only like $15. It's an amazing deal. Like I think I fed like 4 people on $100 comp there.
Nice.
Top quality. Like the one person ordered oxtail, one person ordered like some kind of a chicken Alfredo pasta thing, and you can look on my Twitter. Actually, I got a like on it today from the actual M Resort, which I've never gotten that before on my post.
There you go.
Gave me a like.
And if folks are wondering, it's at Alan Kessler. We'll put that link in the show notes as well. But Alan's a really fun follow on Twitter. Dark Angel says that she follows him on Twitter. That's why she's asking about the food. We've got a comment from Benjamin Enslow here in the chat asking, how far is off the strip? Like a cab ride away, or just to get an idea, to just pick a direction and walk in it? Or is there a rule of thumb for that?
Well, you couldn't walk. If you're on the strip, you can't walk to off the strip. But
okay.
But picture like the Mandalay Bay is the last casino on the strip, and then there's several miles to get to like South Point, and right next to South Point is the M Resort. But then there's other places off the strip, like if you're at the say you're at the MGM Grand and you go down Tropicana like 2 or 3 miles, that's where you can find the Orleans.
Right.
Or if you're at the Palms just reopened, which is very, very nice. I went there. I got sticker shock because their buffet was $60 the other night. But also like the Gold Coast, that's another like locals place.
Yep.
But that used to be right next to the Rio, but that's not on the strip. So you're going to get a much better deal at those type places. But none of those are walking distance.
Right. We've got another comment here. That place in Miracle Mile is good, but can't remember what it's called. That's one to circle, I guess, as well.
I think it's called, I can't remember the name of it either, but they have like, you can buy anything on the menu for like between $5 and $10. Any entree.
Hello. All right. Sign me up.
You can Google it. But people said it was going to be awful. And then I posted about that last year during the World Series at Bally's. And people actually went. I never actually found it, but other people went to it and they said it was phenomenal. So
there you go.
For the price.
Yes, of course. We got one comment here from someone who's writing in from California. It looks like he wants to know your opinion of the small blind ante. So in this case, he's seen more of this happening where the big blind still posts the ante, but the ante, instead of being one big blind, is one small blind instead. Is that something that you would recommend for certain steps or certain levels, or are you for it or against it, or talk a little bit about that?
My suggestion would be this. If your tournament is breaking down and there's 6 players or less at the table, or at any 6 max event, I would like the small blind ante. Because otherwise it's too big. Because like at the end of that Bellagio 5 Diamond, they had 28 blinds in play with 2 people. That's 14 big blinds a person. But the big blind is posting an extra whole blind for no reason.
Right. Yep.
So basically, there's 3 blinds in the pot, and there's only 28 blinds in the total tournament. And once that level's done, there's going to be even less than that. So I agree with that. At any time, like especially getting down from like 27, the last 3 tables to the end, you're going to be short quite a bit. in those situations, they should just. I like the small blind as part of the ante. Or there was a thing that I developed for the MSBT. I'm not sure if they're still using it or not, but at 27 players, they revert back to original antes because it's going to be short so often between 27 down to nothing. So they got a really good review on that. I'm not sure if they're still using that, but they did use it for, I think, around 1 or 2 years. They've been using that, but I'm not 100% sure if they're still using it.
No, I like that idea.
Standard antes. That way, let's say it's 5 and 10,000. Instead of paying 5 and 10,000 and 10,000 again, you're paying 1,000 each person, and 5 and 10,000.
Well, I think that notion of really doing it when you get shorthanded, that makes a lot of sense, and when tables are starting to consolidate, because it does feel like
in the earlier stages when it's like 8, 9-handed full ring, the big blind ante is perfect. But later on, when it gets and that's where all the money is being decided. That's when you need to go to the small blind ante. But Matt Savage is like a big proponent of big blind ante, no matter how many people are left. And he basically has what I call puppets that will do whatever he says. These puppet venues will agree to whatever. Like they're never going to be like if he decided tomorrow that the small blind ante was correct, all of a sudden these puppet places would agree. Yes, you know what, small blind ante might be the way to go. But as long as what he says is the big blind ante, no matter how many players are left, those particular places are never going to change.
Well,
I don't want to call out any particular venues, but it's pretty easy to know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, listen, you shoot from the hip, Alan. You know, people don't have to wonder where they stand because you tell it like you see it. I think people do appreciate that, especially in a meritocracy like the world of poker.
People think I give Matt Savage a hard time, but there's a lot of stuff that he does that just goes like that. Just people blindly agree with. It doesn't even make sense. Like that big blind ante thing, like shorthanded. It's never made sense to me. Or another one where he says that the ante comes first. And what happens in that scenario, if you're short and you have to post the ante first in the big blind, you have to win 3 hands in a row just to get back your own chips. Like the World Series said, forget it, we're never doing that. And they went against the TDA rule of the ante first because they said it was so ridiculously stupid. Like they want people to have a chance to get to win, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but there's many, many things like that he does that people say I pick on him and that I don't like that. Just because he says it, I disagree. That's not it. If something doesn't make sense to me, I don't care who says it. I just, you're not going to convince me otherwise. So.
Well, you've got some fans in the chat here. I know it's getting quite late over there. I appreciate you coming on this late.
Time in the world. I like answering questions. I'm surprised they haven't about slot machines yet because I post a lot of slot machine pictures.
Well, maybe Rob has some questions about slot machines. I know he's got a family member who's very involved in some tournaments and that kind of thing.
I'm more interested in video poker. And I noticed that, I like to play double bonus poker. I noticed that the pay charts on those are going really, really bad. You're getting a lot of 7-5s and 6-4s out there, which are just driving me crazy. Where do you play video poker?
Again, I play off strip, but the thing is, video poker is like a solved thing. So the casino is not going to give you the best pay table because the best pay table is close to 100% return. So, like for example, double bonus, that game is like a 98-point-something% return. That's with the best pay table, and that's if you play it perfectly. Which it's very, very difficult to play double bonus perfectly because there's times you just hold an ace when you think you would hold like ace king or whatever. And there's times you hold the ace king. It depends what the exact makeup of the 5 cards are. And it's very hard to play video. If you're playing video poker perfectly and double bonus, they're still going to have an edge over you. So there's no reason to try to, give you such a bad pay table. But if you hunt around at the off strip places, you'll find like 9-6, they call it 9-6 double, which is like 98-point-something%. You'll find that everywhere.
So
Can you guys? Good advice.
Yeah, can you guys just tell some of our less experienced listeners or folks who don't play those kind of games as often? You're taking a different strategy when you're playing video poker than when you're playing poker. Is it about maximizing rewards programs or something like that?
You're trying to get hands that are on the pay table. So, like 4 aces with a kicker is a very good hand for like 2,000 credits. So, in some scenarios, you would just hold an ace, even though it seems crazy. You might get 3 more aces and a kicker. But like if you hold ace, queen, jack, that's lower EV expected value than just holding the ace.
Mm-hmm.
Or things like, I'm not giving that as an example, but
no. Like, so it's less about actually making a hand that beats another player. It's more about just making strong hands and getting paid for making strong hands.
Maximizing what cards you were dealt and drawing to those cards. So it's not actually intuitive. Like there's some scenarios where like 7, 8, 9, 10 is better than a pair of 10s. Like if you had 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. On some games you would hold 7, 8, 9, 10. On other games you would hold the 2 10s. So it's not intuitive at all. You have to really, really be into it and know all the strategies. And I'd say 95 to like 98% of the people playing video poker do not know exactly what to hold on every scenario. So the casino is printing money.
And how do you find that out? Like, how do you study the strategy to play video poker? What's the material that you use for that?
They have different websites and things where you can practice hands, and there's like charts that you can look at that show you what cards to hold and stuff. But I basically don't play much video poker anymore. I like to play mostly slots. So
yeah, we've got a question here in the chat actually from Dark Angel again. What's your favorite slot machine or machines?
Currently, I like this one. It's there's variations of the Buffalo. You know where they say
I've heard Buffalo everywhere. People keep talking Buffalo. What is this Buffalo mania? What does it even mean? What's so great about it?
When you get the whole object of the Buffalo game is to get these like 6 of these numbers in the boxes, and then you go to this bonus game, and now you have to fill like a whole screen of boxes, and it's usually fake. But I've actually filled the whole screen twice. One time I got $19,000 for it. One time I got $15,000 for it. So it does happen, but it's very, very rare. That's called the grand jackpot.
All right.
It's like the carrot. Everybody's chasing the carrot. But it's such a tempting game because it has the sound effects, everything about it. It's addicting. Like everywhere I go, you can't even get a seat on those games. The Buffalo game. That's like by far my favorite slot machine.
Wow. Okay. There you go. It sounds like Donna agrees. And is there a skill edge in these kind of games? Is it more complicated than just showing up and putting your coin in and pulling the lever?
Well, some of the games have a tiny like bonus to them. Like there's one called Buffalo Diamond 10th Anniversary, where they tell you how many free games you're playing for. So obviously, if the free games are higher than are higher on one machine than another machine, you might as well play the one that has the higher number of free games. But other than that, they're mostly luck. But
and do you play any other games in the casino other than slots and poker and the occasional dabbling into video poker?
Video poker. I like. There's a game called Ultimate Texas Hold'em. I really enjoy that game because you get to you make decisions on every street. It's like playing Hold'em against the house.
Yeah,
and you can bet 4x before the flop, 2x on the flop, and then 1x on the turn river. So like basically, if you have an ace, you should always bet 4x. And like I'm sitting at the table and somebody will have ace king, and they will never raise their hand. And like a lot of times they just miss the whole board and they fold. But that's such a huge mistake because ace king wins a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know.
That game
maybe they feel like it's a drawing hand.
Yeah, that game is also counterintuitive. Like there's hands like king 5 suited that you're supposed to 4x, and you have to really have the nerve to do it because like whenever you do it, you just lose every time.
Yep. Now that sounds a lot like real poker.
Yeah, but it's Texas Hold'em. If anybody, I know quite a few people that are hooked on that game, but that's like my favorite table game. And also, I like this game called Open Face Pai Gow, where it's Pai Gow poker, but you see the dealer's hand before you set your hand.
Well, you're definitely striking a chord. Some folks in the chat are also fans of the Buffalo game, and I think that Ultimate Hold'em one is getting more popular out here in Halifax as well, says Ben. I think you and Rob might have to get together in Vegas sometime soon, because as you keep talking, Rob just keeps nodding. You guys are reading each other's mail. I think you'd probably be able to enjoy each other's company in Las Vegas a bit.
It just means I spend way too much time in casinos. That's my problem.
Is that a problem?
Does Rob live in Vegas or not?
No, I live in Bullhead City, just across the river from Laughlin.
Oh, that's a little bit far.
Yeah, but I get up to Vegas once a month or so anyway. So,
all right. Well, if you ever see my post on the Twitter for the free dinner, you have an open invite.
Yeah,
I'll have to see if I can get there. Yes,
there you go. Nice. And yeah, when coming down from Minnesota, Laughlin's just off the strip. As far as we're concerned, that counts as just being off the strip. That's so close. It feels closer from here. Well, this is great. I'll tell folks we're going to wind this up here shortly. If they have any more questions, they can type them into the YouTube chat there. Alan, what's one thing that so you've been playing for a long time. You've had all sorts of success. You've seen it all. What is one thing about playing poker that makes you gleeful? What's one like fun thing about playing poker that still makes you smile after all these years doing it?
To be honest, I like when people actually stop me and they recognize me and they say, you helped me with something like years ago, and I wanted to thank you for it. Or just people that say, I enjoy watching you on the vlogs, or I enjoy your Twitter, or I'm thrilled to meet you. That kind of thing. That's like the best part of my day. Usually, I don't even know how to describe it.
That's great. And what's last question before we let you go? I know it's awfully late, all the way halfway around the world over there. What's one thing that people coming to Las Vegas for the first time absolutely must do or try that doesn't have anything to do with poker or gambling at all?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. You know what? The Fremont Street Experience, where they have the show in the sky thing. You have to see it at least once, but after that, it's kind of ridiculous. And there's also there's this thing at the top of Stratosphere, which I'm way afraid of doing, but you can go on like this wire and like float above the casinos on this wire, but I would never ever do it. So, yeah. I'm not even sure what it's called, but people know what I'm talking about.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the Fremont Street Experience is great. In fact, Rob and I and Roger Schutte and Mrs. Blusterini all went down there when I was down in Vegas a couple of years ago and had a great time. Saw a concert, get to see those zip line people going crazy down there and all that. It is an easy place to have fun. Is that home for you all the time, or when you're not traveling and playing poker, Alan, you're in Las Vegas?
Yeah, but I have a thing where I only travel to places where I have other things to do. Like I like to go to places like Cherokee, where if I bust, they have a whole casino there with slot machines. They have video poker. They have Ultimate Hold'em, whatever. But like, if you have a thing like Jacksonville Best Bet, forget it. I'm never going to go there, because if I bust, there's nothing for me to do there.
You're in Jacksonville, yeah,
right, and it's just another. I'm going to bust and then play, like, I'm not going to play No Limit Hold'em cash. So I would never go to a place like that. Like, I only go where I have other, like Hard Rock Hollywood is perfect, because I can go in the casino there. I can go, there's 20 casinos in Florida right near Hard Rock Hollywood if I want to go to another casino. But there's certain places where I just won't go no matter what. Like Playground Poker is another one.
Okay, so actually I have two questions for you then. So the first one is, why not No Limit Hold'em cash? You just don't like the format? You're just not a cash player? It doesn't appeal to you?
No, I've always played mixed cash. And I haven't really played much mixed cash lately, because it's gone to this carnival game theory, which I don't know if you know what carnival games are, but they're not real poker games. Like, it'll be drama hall, 2 to 7, 2 boards, all this crazy, ridiculous stuff. So I'm very, very picky, but whenever I play mixed cash, it has to be limit mixed, and it has to be games that like real games, like stud 8, Raz, triple draw, whatever, any limit game. And my record, like the other day, the last time I played cash, which was probably months ago from now. But anyway, somebody said, well, when was the last time you lost in a cash game? And I literally couldn't remember because I'm so picky on the games that I'll play that I never ever lose in a mixed limit cash game because it's the games that I specialize at. And like if I pick the field of players and I pick the exact games that I want, it's very, very hard for me to lose. So I literally can't remember the last time I lost in a cash game. But people ask me this, and I've never ever played a hand of no limit cash.
Well, that sounds like really good advice, folks. I mean, game selection, right? We talk about this all the time. How important is game selection?
The thing is, if you know the mixed games, like if you know Raz and high low stud and triple draw, and other people don't know the games as well as you have a big edge. But let's say you walk up to a no limit table, and other people have much more experience than you. You still have a very good chance to win. You can, you know when you have a good hand, whatever. I mean, it's no limit. You can still win, but in limit mixed games, you cannot win as just walking into the game. It's almost impossible. If I asked you to play, I don't know if you've ever played triple draw, right? But if you just sat down in a triple draw game with people that are really good at triple draw, you're not going to have a chance. But even like the average person sitting at a no limit game, they have a chance to win. Mm-hmm. It's completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're trying to get some of our listeners, some of our members, a little more interested in mixed games because people talk about how much more fun it is. It's kind of stretches the brain a little. It's harder to solve, so maybe there's some future of poker in that. Did you play in Robbie Straczynski's cash game festival, the mixed game festival down in where was it this year? I don't remember. I know he's trying to do it every year now.
But I ripped him on that because every time he does it, like he did it during the World Series against mixed events at the World Series, which is completely, like I said, do it a week before the World Series. But I did play with him in Choctaw. We had like a 10-20 mix with games that I liked, and I won in that game. And he actually played pretty well, I thought.
Nice.
It plays it at the Westgate. Now, would the Westgate be considered off the strip?
100%. Yeah, I actually like that casino. It's easy to get in and out, and but I don't know if their poker room is really, really small, maybe like 8 tables, and you're not going to if I would never play a mixed game. They're the highest they're going to play is like $4 and $8. See, the problem with mixed games for me is the games that I like the actual limit mixed games, like horse or whatever, stud 8 or Omaha 8. Like the biggest Omaha 8 game that I know of is $8, $16 at the Orleans, and those stakes are going to grind you out on the rake, and it has to be meaningful money. I know people say, well, that's being obnoxious or whatever, but the money has to be meaningful. You have to, for me to put in $16, I want to be able, it has to be like $160 or whatever, 81.60 or 40.80 or something reasonable that it's going to make me play the right way. Otherwise, like $4 and $8, $8, $16, whatever, I'm just not going to have a good time because I'm going to want to play too many hands. I'm not going to play my best. It's not going to work.
Well, I know we're going to, I'm going to give the folks in our chat here on YouTube a chance to type the words food bank into the chat here. We'll do our draw as soon as we let Alan go. Alan, I'll encourage our folks again to follow you on Twitter at Alan Kessler. Is there anywhere else that people should reach out if they want to get in touch or if they want to learn more about you or what you're getting up to?
Well, my Facebook is sold out. So I think you can follow me on Facebook without actually being a friend. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
Okay.
It's like I have quite a few of those. But the actual friend thing caps at 5,000. And that's every so often one space opens and then somebody takes that space. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, but there's a way to follow on Facebook without actually being a friend. So you could do that if you want.
All right. And otherwise, like I say, check him out at Alan Kessler on Twitter. Well, Alan, this is great. It's been fun getting to know you a little bit.
Are there any more YouTube questions or no? That's it?
Let me see. Well, there's some people saying that they'd like to join you for some mixed games. There's some people saying that they've got the Buffalo music in their head now and they can see the stampede across the screen. Let me see. No, we I think you answered all the actual questions here. We got one more. So when you're over there, what percentage are you tipping?
The tipping here is weird because, like, I've been sitting in this in the buffet area where it's basically all you help yourself. There's no service even of drinks. It's all everything is help yourself. So I watch, and nobody ever leaves a tip. I think that's a Europe thing, though. So
yeah, me too.
What the deal is, but I'm going to look into that further because, like, I don't feel right. But the person, all they're doing is removing your plates. They're not really doing anything else. So I'm not sure. It's like you're tipping the busboy at a restaurant. I'm not sure if what the protocol is, to be honest with you. But
yeah, I know it is different over there where they actually pay a living wage. The tipping culture is less prevalent.
Like I've been posting my bills from these restaurants in Vegas, like between $200 and $400 bills, and no matter what I leave, I call it tip shaming. The other day we had like it was like a $200 and some bill, and we left like $30 or $40. And people were saying, well, you didn't leave enough. I said, why not? They said, because it was a comp, you have to leave more. I said, but that's not how it works. But like, if somebody takes care of you and you leave $40 for one dinner, I think that's plenty.
Well, the final comment here in the YouTube chat is from Dark Angel again, saying, good luck, Alan. She'll be modding on the King stream, so we'll be on the rail there. People are going to be looking forward to following some more of your action before you pack it up and bring it back to the U.S. of A. How long are you staying, and how many other events are you playing in before we let you go?
I'm playing every day until the 15th of November.
Amazing. So you got a couple weeks.
People want to get. I almost forgot this. I can do a plug for this. Hold on. If people want to get action on you can buy as little as like $5 worth of action on any of my events, very low markup on Stake Kings. You just, the link is on my Twitter, or you just go to Stake Kings and it has you select the player and select my name. You'll see what it like. Right now, they have me listed for $2,000 PLO tomorrow, which I came in second a few years back. I was heads up for the bracelet with a chip lead and I blew it. And, the next day is another one of these mini mains, the last flight of that. So there's some shares available in those on Stake Kings. STAKE Kings.
Yeah, stakekings.com. Go check that out. And like he says, the link is on his Twitter as well. And if you've been listening, you know he's going to make some very judicious investments when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's picking the games wisely. He's not going to play too many hands. It sounds like he's a good investment if you're looking to get a sweat in one of these tournaments over there.
I have over $4 million in cash this lifetime. Well, quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, and you didn't get rich by writing a lot of checks. Here's what I'm telling you. This is it's like a guy that knows the value of a dollar. So get involved over there. Well, thanks, Alan. This has been a pleasure. I think we'll have you on another time. Hopefully, maybe when we get closer to WSOP, we can talk about some specific plans.
There's quite a lot of other topics we can discuss. So if people want to send you questions, there's all kind of things to talk about. But whatever comes up is fine.
That's great. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. I think I'll put out a tweet a little earlier in the process to see if we can get some good questions for folks that want to hear more from Alan Kessler. But in the meantime, like I say, at Alan Kessler on Twitter, and we'll have that in the show notes here. And if people want to find out more about the podcast and how we get involved with great guests like this, you can just go to rec.poker and get a free community account right now.
You can put a link to my Stake Kings on your thing. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. I'll just make a note about that, and we'll add that to the.
I think it's like stakekings.com/chainsaw, but I'm not sure the exact syntax. It's on my Twitter though.
All right. Well, people will know where to find it. Well, thank you again, Alan. We're gonna just move into the home game results portion of the show here. You're welcome to stick around, but I know it's almost 2 a.m. over there.
And a lot of tournaments coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, go kick some butt all over the place tomorrow, and we'll be here next time we have a chance to have you on. Thanks again, Alan. This was a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, well, there you go, the one and only. It was fun to get Alan on the show. We've been talking about doing this for a while. He's got some great insights into the poker world. I love talking to him about structures and levels and how to make the game a more level playing field where everyone can have a good time. And it doesn't feel just like a shove fest right off the bat. So we've got a few people typing food bank into the chat here. So I will take a die here. We're going to start with Ben and Donna and Dave. We've only got 3 folks that want to win a free month at Rec.Poker this week. So we're going to use a 6-sided die. This one here. I'm going to put the 1 up, but just so people can see, there are other numbers on the die. So if it's a 1 or 2, that's you, Ben. If it's a 3 or a 4, that's Donna. If it's a 5 or a 6, that's Dave. Let's see what we got. A 6. Oh my God. Dave. See, we were really screwed there because we were either going to roll a 1 or Evil Roy Slade was going to win another Rec Poker prize. So I think Dave's already maxed out the coaching credits available through this program. But Dave, send me an email anyway. You know the drill, jim@rec.poker. Let me know you won the draw, and we'll make sure that we take care of you in some way. In the meantime, John Somsky, there were some home games played this week. And I know in our Fun Country OPA on Thursday night, speaking of being able to get taken care of, that's free to play for all our premium members. It's 9-player sit and go on the Fun Country poker platform, which is a lot of fun. And the winner gets $25. This past week, the winner was Jim Gibson. We call him the real Jim. And he got to claim a $25 Amazon gift card, compliments of Fun Country Poker. So congratulations, Jim. And thanks to Fun Country for that. John, what's going on with the rest of our home games?
Well, before we start the home game thing, I'm going to interrupt myself here. And I was just wondering what the Canadian tax laws are like. Is Evil Roy going to need to claim his Rec Poker membership as a secondary job?
Now, that's a great question, John. I happen to know that gambling winnings up here, unless you are registered as a pro, they count as windfalls, and therefore they are not taxed. So he's going to get to keep 100% of his winnings. If he is but he doesn't get to write off his losses unless he claims himself as a pro. And I think there's a bunch of red tape around that too. So I don't know if that specifically answers your question, but we are living in the land of the free where you get to just keep whatever you win, which is a wonderful thing.
All right. I am very happy for Roy.
Yeah, how can you not be?
So on October 24th, MN Ted, Phil Fuhrer, got his 5th nightly victory for the year. On the 25th, Poker Geek MN John Somsky got his 8th.
All right. Yeah. Congratulations.
Nice.
Well, thank you. Isma got his 5th nightly victory for the year.
Just
doesn't even bother him at all anymore. Yep.
Ship and Flick Wreck, Luke O'Driscoll got his 1st nightly victory for the year.
That's a new name. What's it? Say that again.
Ship and Flick Wreck.
Yeah. That.
And
you practiced that one.
And Flip Wreck. No, I actually just rolled right off my tongue.
You've just gotten a lot better at this over the years.
Poker Karma 96, Kim Lepa got her 1st nightly victory for the year. And Keck Geek 65 got his nightly victory for the year. Uncle Tom's Cabin won the daily mixed event. And speak of the devil, Evil Roy CA, David Westerveld got his 7th international victory for the year.
He's on fire.
And East Coast Bitter, Ben Enslow, got his 5th international victory for the year.
He loves those international
You join the chat and you're just going to win. I mean, you're just
good point.
Represent
That's a great point,
chat,
Chris.
Man. Represent chat. Let's go.
A lot of these nightly tournaments have 50 to 70 runners in them. The fact that the people showing up in the chat here keep being the winners, it's because the more involved you get, the better at poker you get, the better your run good. It's a recipe for success. Join the chat, folks. Win a prize.
Exactly. Or actually, the more involved you get with rec poker, the better you're going to be. Whether it's be in chat, in the forums, however you do it, it's good for you.
In fact, I'm going to tease something. Speaking of getting more involved with rec poker, one of the people that we just mentioned in the winner's circle is actually getting more involved with rec poker. And it's we don't have anything that we can share right now live on the air, but you're going to learn a little bit more about some of these members over the next little while. I'm pretty excited to be sharing that when the time comes. Yeah, Chris doesn't know. No, you guys don't even know. Everyone's completely in the dark.
You're just going to drop this little tease and then just walk away.
I wasn't even going to say anything about it, but the fact is, it's all coming together, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the future holds for this other member that we're discussing right here.
Well, Torner Joshua Campbell won the LPP event, second for the year, and He can contact Jim at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Yeah, he's not going to want to miss that. Josh, if you win the Sunday night tournament, again, it's free to enter. And the winner gets a free month at Learn Pro Poker, which is usually $40 or $50. So that's a heck of a deal. You send me that email, Jim at rec.poker, and we'll get you hooked up with your prize. So yeah, a couple other things just while we're sort of wrapping things up here. I know we're going to go record our forums edition of the podcast shortly, and I hope all our premium members that are here in the chat are interested to come join us in that. That's always a fun time, and it's a great way to get more involved and to share your insight with the rest of the panel here. And if you're interested in getting more involved, I would say the first thing that we're doing that I would advise people to try out would be our online plan hangs. This every Tuesday night we get together. Our premium members hang out in a Zoom call while we're playing in the nightly home game. We usually get some fun guests coming in from time to time. Kevin Mathers, or Kev Math, is a regular fixture there when he's not off kicking butt in Malta himself. That's a great way to do it. And on the fourth Tuesday of every month, we actually open it up to our community members. So you don't have to be a premium member. You just have to have a free community account at rec.poker. Head on over there. All it takes is an email address and a smile. And you can join the rest of the group here on Tuesday, November 22nd will be the next community OPA. But that's a lot of fun, and I encourage people to go and check that out and just say hi. You don't even have to share your screen if you don't want to. When I first joined Rec Poker as a premium member, it feels like many years ago, it took me quite a while to turn the camera on my computer. I was just one of those people lurking in the chat and typing my answers and questions in. I didn't want people to know too much about me because I was a lurker and a kind of a private person. But that's just the effect that Rec Poker and the people here can have. I feel less private every day.
But in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Definitely in a good way. No, okay. I feel like
not exposed, just less private. Yeah.
That's right. No, I wasn't like winking or anything when I said that. No, that's true. We should clarify for our audio listeners. So I guess, Rob, we've got some new news in the book club. We're finishing up with Dara and Barry's Endgame, and we're starting with a new one from one of our old favorites. Why don't I let you tease that a little more?
We've the results of the Twitter polls are all in, and the winning book is The Poker Brain by Matt Matros.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't read it yet, but from what I understand, it is a way of using GTO to think about your poker decisions. It's not taking GTO solves, but it's taking the GTO mentality and using it to exploit the people that you are coming in contact with at the poker table. So I believe that's what it's about. So I'm looking forward to reading that because I think it's a good second book after his first one, The Game Plan, which we did, which was kind of a formulaic type of process that you could use if you were an inexperienced player and actually be effective playing poker. So now he's taken it to that next level where we can start taking advantage now and try to exploit our opponents. So looking forward to that one. And we'll start that on the 16th of November. We will be having a book study in 2 days, in Wednesday. Not sure what we're going to do yet, if we have the opportunity to have Barry or Dara on the book study, we'll be asking them questions. If not, we'll probably kind of review the chapters of the book that we just finished, and just have a general discussion about ICM. So.
And it's never too late to get involved in that. We, of course, record each of the sessions of the book study that Rob runs every 2 weeks on the first and third Wednesday of every month. And so if you're a premium member, you can dig through the archives, watch some previous series with different books. Or if you're listening out of sync with live releases, and it's already past the point of November 16th, worry not, friend. You can just go check out the archives, watch the previous sessions of this book, and join us anytime in real time. I guarantee you will you'll get a lot more out of it for sharing with other people. So, like with a lot of things that we do here, it is actually easier and more fun and better if you do it together. So, the only other comment I will have here is, again, we mentioned at the top of the show, Joe Coolis, who's a fantastic premium member and a great guy here at Rec Poker. He's doing a donation match. So if anyone does, over the course of the next week, if you donate to a food bank in your area, all you have to do is Google food banks near me, and you'll find an organization that can benefit from your time, money, or non-perishable food items. He'll match that donation up to $100. So please do send me that screenshot. Let me know. I'll take care of that with Joe and make it all happen. So without any further ado, I just got to thank our YouTube members here, Donna, Ben, let me see, John, Dave. There was a guy from California who I didn't recognize from earlier, but thank you for showing up. Martha wasn't here tonight, I know, but she's got a really good reason for it. Anyone else that I missed there? Of course, the Wrecking Crew panel, John Tomsky, Rob Washam, and Chris Jones tonight. Of course, Alan Kessler, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, Mark Prashant from Website Amp, but mostly you, the listeners. You're the ones we do it for, so thanks for all your support, and we'll see you next week. Time to do a little groove. I like counts.
Yeah.